Welcome, everybody. My name is Jana Weiss. I'm the Student Life Coordinator for Global Online, and I'm excited to be here with you today. And I have a wonderful guest, Alexandra or Alex Amastika, who is a librarian with us today. And she is going to be talking about AI as a research assistant and brainstorming and exploring and organizing and helping y'all with that research. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you, Jana. Hi, everybody. It's good to have you all here. Thank you, Margot. Thank you. I applaud you for coming and participating. Get ready to engage, okay? My name is Alexandra Mestica, and I am a full-time librarian with Houston City College at the Ailey Face Library, okay? I have a presentation that I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to later going to drop it in the chat for you to have.
So I'm going to go to each side. I'm going to mute everybody so that they represent their first point. It's time.
Thank you. Keep yourself engaged. If you have, I'm gonna go through. If you have any questions, let me know. Okay. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So welcome to AI can you see the AI as a researcher, or do you still see my blue screen?
We still see your blue screen.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Oh, there it is. It's coming up towards at the bottom.
Yes, I have double monitor going on here. Okay, let me see. Thank you so much. Okay. Here we go. So welcome to AI as a research assistant, brainstorming, exploring, and organizing. We're going to talk today about some topics that are important in our process as just our creative process, okay? So this session is not necessarily focused exactly on what you need to do with the AI, but it's going to give you a little bit of a solid start so that you can start taking in consideration what is it that you can do, okay? So as we are going through this experience together today, I want you to stay grounded and consider an ethical approach. Okay. We're not talking about cheating the system, doing things that are not in alignment with best practices, right? And one thing that I want to emphasize is how human centered your approach to working with artificial intelligence and large language models needs to be. Okay. If your professor says that you cannot use artificial intelligence in class, don't use it. Don't do it. If they allow you, ask them, to what extent can I use artificial intelligence or large language models in this class? We are also conscious about our planet because I have some students that are asking about the impact of artificial intelligence in the economy, in other societies, right? So I want you to consider that, although in this session we are not going to dwell into that, but that idea is there. So keep these thoughts percolating. We're going to practice ethical behavior, academic integrity. We're going to work with rigor. We're also going to be human centered because when we are interacting with AI, we are interacting with a system. It's an electronic system. There is no human there. It's going to sound human. It's going to feel human, maybe, but it is not. So keep that in mind. So, when we are talking about using the AI as a research assistant, the first thing that you have to consider is yourself. It's not the research assistant, okay? Is you. because we're going to be human centered. And we're going to ground this conversation in the knowledge that you first bring. And maybe today you might feel like you don't know anything about AI or how to do this. Tell me in the chat, how do you feel about using AI for research or for assisting you in thinking? Drop me a message. Want to see, take a little bit of temperature. Very good. We also have okay, see, we are having different opinions. It feels unethical. Others is like it feels, you know, way easier. Okay, let me see, what else do I get? Some people don't like AI for sources. Okay, so it helps. It's not credible. It can help, but I try not to use it too much. It makes life easier. It's helpful sometimes. Okay, I haven't tried it, but I'm as an assistant, but I am going to. Okay, first steps. It's okay. Sometimes they give us false information just to please us. Very well stated. Very well. It's hard because it can give random information, but not source. Okay, you guys deserve a prize because you're right when you're saying that AI might not give you the correct choices. You can consider the outputs of large language models like ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot or Perplexity or Claude as a guess in which the AI is putting things together, and because of its computational capabilities, is giving you a prediction of what it might be. Not only that, but now, depending on the flavor of AI that you are selecting, there's been some integration of sources from the web. So sometimes when you're interacting with AI, it might go and find a source from the web, right? Or sometimes now you're on the web and all of a sudden at the top, you see that summary that's coming from AI. And I want you to keep that in mind because I want you to be sovereign. I want you to govern where you are getting your sources from. At no point should you be like, oh, I don't know where I got that source from. Okay. So Aurora is saying that it gives you random links to pages, and that's correct, right? So notice how overall the assessment of this group is that it can make life easier. It can give you things that are random. It can give you things that are not true. But still, we're here because we're interested in how to use it, right? Another thing that I'm going to add is another layer is that, I'm a librarian, right? So I work with a lot of information sources, including databases. And some of our information databases are incorporating the use of artificial intelligence, right? So what I also want you to be is very aware of what's happening with this, okay? So you got to be aware of what's happening with AI. And then I want you to move your awareness and think about yourself as a producer of information and knowledge. You have a history, a live history of where you've been in life, different types of interactions that you have with your family, at school, work, social media, and your friends. So when you are interacting in life, in academia, you bring your own funds of knowledge. You bring your own knowledge into this equation. So maybe you have faint knowledge or maybe you don't. And even if you feel like you don't have knowledge about something, that in itself is knowledge because it gives you an idea to consider. So as you're thinking about the AI agent, I also want to consider a different framework in which you need to teach yourself how to learn. This is very important nowadays because some people are going to say, hey, but now I can go to the AI and ask and it gives me answers. Of course, you guys all declare that, oh, this might not be true, which is correct, right? So you need to know, what does it mean to learn and how do I learn when I am bringing my own funds exposing myself to new content and producing something new for a world where I can find a lot of information. Okay. So this not some this is not only kind of like read, write. It's how is it that you learn and how are you going to apply your learning? So if you're ever interested in a good book for this idea, Teach Yourself How to Learn is a good one. And this is based on something that's called Bloom's taxonomy. So what are we doing? Bloom's taxonomy gives you some words. These are like, operational verbs and operations that you can perform when you are interacting with any type of thing. So let's say that you're going to use the AI as an assistant. What do you want to do? You want to gather, you want to consider some knowledge? Do you want to increase your comprehension? Do you want to apply, analyze? Are you synthesizing or evaluating? So there's a lot of different operations that you can do when you are working with information and systems. And I want you to consider these ideas as you engage in creating something. So,
That's how I feel.
for example, when we are brainstorming, there are 4 things that you should consider. Create a safe space, right? And in that safe space, I want you to look at things like they are new. Like maybe with not bring your biases and your own lenses, right? You're gonna observe, what's happening here, right? If you're brainstorming, you are just open to the possibilities. Do not make any assumptions. Just think openly. And even if you have an assumption, then you challenge that assumption, okay? You're also going to produce, try to make a lot of different ideas because you're trying to expand. And then you're also going to critique in a positive way, okay? So notice that so far, I have not even touched the AI. I am thinking, oh, I can do all these things, think creatively, open my mind, brainstorm. And if you are doing this by yourself, engage in a conversation, in a dialogue with yourself. And if you have to, right, this is not a bad idea, write them down in a piece of paper, okay? That's important. So before you start, and I'm going to tell you why. If you go and you start interacting with the AI without you doing your own process of, reflection, you are letting the AI dictate what's going to be on your mind. Instead of you dictating to the AI and prompting the AI for an idea. Does that make sense? That's why we got some people that were saying, oh, I'm afraid of kind of like how it can impact the way I think. Tell me in the chat if you think this is sounding like something that you will engage into. Yes, we actually never saw it like that. Thank you, Margot. So I don't want you to be on kind of like, oh, I'm going to wait and see what the AI is going to do for me. And you can do that. But I want you to tell the AI what the AI is going to do for you. Okay, thank you so much. So now we're going to go, oh, well, what is it that we can tell the AI that we can do, right? So the way that we tell, large language models, what we're going to do is we are prompting, okay? And we have another session on prompting last week. If you're interested in that, reach out, let me know, and we'll send you the materials, okay? So when we're talking about prompting, there's, pretty much, there's a lot of different ways of doing, but I just bring it down to 2. Either you do it like a conversation or you do a very, very structured prompt, okay? So what I'm going to do now is going to go back to the presentation. And I have some examples for you. That are related to prompting for brainstorming, okay? So when you're doing this, I have 5 different things that you can consider. Number 1, right here, it's the knowledge. So I'm gonna, give me just 1 second. I'm going to drop something in the chat for you. Here we go. So that prompt that I just dropped in the chat is something that you can prompt the AI to do, okay? And I have other examples, and you're going to see that this is something that you can consider as a way of interacting to the increased different levels of your brainstorming power. So when I say that I am at the knowledge level, I just want to, maybe find a list because I'm interacting with something that's going to predict language, right? And then maybe I want to take this to a level of understanding via comprehension. So I say, well, maybe I want to narrow down to 3, right? And then maybe I want to see step number 3. I want to see how this is going to work. So this is an application. And then from that, maybe I want the AI to debate with me. So now I'm asking it to act like a coach. And then finally, I want the AI to help me organize and brainstorm into a 3-part plan. Okay. So on the screen, what you have is an idea of how you can prompt just for brainstorming. Notice that I'm not asking for sources. I don't ask for sources in any large language model because I'm a librarian. I have databases and I need to operate in a different way. Okay. But for brainstorming and generating ideas, that is something that you could try. So remember that I shared with you that little prompt. So I want you to tell me uh, a topic that you would like for me to prompt about. And let's see what happens. You can drop it on the chat. Give me one. I'm gonna go with the first one that I see. Let me see. If we need to brainstorm about a topic, what can we brainstorm about? Food. All right. History. Food history. Thank you. There we go. Now I'm working on the free version of ChatGPT, okay? And do notice that you have more things that you can do there. Not gonna go into the whole thing, but you should try the study and the learn, the deep search, think longer, and create an image, okay? But I'm staying in the very basic one for now. So I'm prompting for 10 creative topics about food history. Keep it simple, like I'm learning them for the first time. Toss in some short definitions and basic examples so I can remember them easily. Think of it like making a snack-sized menu of ideas for me. So let's see what type of output we get. Okay, so these are some preliminary ideas, right? The first bread, rice around the world, chocolate origins, coffee journey, the pasta puzzle. So if you notice, the tone in this is a little bit funny, and it's because I prompted the GPT to give me a tone at this. So in the presentation, right, I have other topics here that I want to work with because I have other steps that I can use. So now I'm going to use this one, right? And let's see what happens when I prompt it. So now we narrow down to 3. Still, I'm not deciding. I'm just see what's happening here. Okay. And I'm going to go again. And I'm going to grab another one. And I'm going to do the first 3. Okay. Oh, okay. So now on the chat, I'm getting other recommendations, right? Best chocolate chip cookie recipe. Dubai chocolate recipe, right? So if you can go back and alter, right, the prompts, and I'm going to share the presentation so that you have an idea for that. On the chat, I just dropped what we just did on the screen, so you will have access to it later, okay? Because then on your end, you can also try those two final prompts to see what the output is. Now, one thing that this group mentioned was that we don't have any sources, right? So what's the problem with all of that output that I just got? I don't have any sources. So technically speaking, this is not real. I cannot use ChatGPT as an accurate source of information. So you're going to tell, this is just giving me some ideas, right? Of things that I could do. So with those ideas, now I can also go and research formally where in library databases, I can just also try to have access sources through Google. And then let me see something here. Tell me in the chat if you've used the Google Advanced Search interface. Give me a yes or a no. Google Advanced Search interface. No, okay. Nope, okay. I see a lot of no's. So give me just 1 second here because we have to address that. So I'm in Google, okay? So if you type advanced search, you're going to see a different interface in Google in which you can ask, you can query for something different. Right? I don't know what's going to happen with this. I'm taking a risk here. It's okay. So I'm going to check for Dubai chocolate recipe. I think I'm not going to get any results, but I'm going to, in the spirit of brainstorming, I'm going to remain flexible. Okay. Dubai chocolate recipe. Let me give Dubai a capital. Here we go. There we go. And I can do something different here. And I can narrow down by domain. Now, if I put edu there, what I'm wondering is if I can find an educational website that mentions those 3 words. There we go. So, the first result comes from the Institute of Culinary Education. Then I have something from Grace Harbor College, right? Making Dubai chocolates. And now I'm seeing all these results that are coming from educational websites. Now, in the spirit of cooking, I want you to see the recipe at the top. You are giving a domain, and I'm going to change it to museum. And then here, I'm going to leave the same thing. I wonder if we will get something. There we go. So what's happening on the screen is that now you're getting all the results from museum websites, and they include those words. So what else could I do? One of them, the ones that we use a lot, let's say that I'm interested in the economy in Italy.
Alex,
So yes.
we do have somebody who has their hand raised with the question. Her name is Raja.
Yes. Give me just one second. So now all my websites are coming from Italy, and they're all mentioned that word. Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there. Let me see. Questions?
Oh no, my question just was if at the end can you send the PowerPoint?
Oh, before the we're over. Yes.
I know at the end of the presentation is fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. Stephanie. No questions there. Your hand is raised. You have a question? Okay. So you saw what I did, guys. I went into the Google Advanced Search interface. I had a whole nother set of parameters that I can do there to narrow down and to look in specific places, right? So I could take inspiration from that output from the GPT to look using Google Advanced Search, to look in library databases. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you think that's something that you may want to practice. Or give me a thumbs down if you or a different opinion. It's okay. Okay, thank you. Thumbs up. Appreciate that. So you see, and now we are not going into specific fields, but I want you to keep in mind, right, that you are the human in the loop. And these are things that you should apply also into your field of expertise as you're developing it. Not only kind of like do a general thing, you can apply it to your personal life, to your academic expertise, to your work environment. And don't forget to like narrow down and document where you got your sources. This is very important. Because when we don't know where our sources are coming from, what it's underlined is our credibility. And I don't ever want anybody to go after you because you didn't have the correct sources. Oh my goodness. Let's not have that happen, okay? So let me go back to my screen. And we were here. And before I do that, I don't want, can you copy link? The chat. Give me just 1 second. I just dropped the link on Canvas. Test it to make sure that it works on your end, okay? So this link is gonna lead you straight back into this presentation, but you can, okay, thank you, Aurora. Okay. So when we're talking about, oh, there you go. I see you all clicking and coming in. Welcome to the presentation online. When we're talking about brainstorming, these prompts that I have on the screen are not the only things that you could do. You could do a lot of different things, right? And you can also prompt AI, hey, can you help me design prompts for this purpose? So and probably later we'll repeat the prompt workshop again, but there's a lot of different ways in which you can prompt. Okay, so moving on, if you wanted also, I took you to Google Advanced Search, right, to look for some information using some keywords that you provided. But the library also has research guides in a lot of different topics that are in alignment with your class requirements. And one of our most popular guides is the guide for primary sources. So if that's something that you want to explore in a certain point, please come back to the library and check our page for the research subject guides. So as we are going through this, I want you to remember that the large language models are predicting. They are not thinking like you. This is really important, okay? Because as you move, let's say, into exploring, I want you to, first of all, relax. Because sometimes you get these assignments or you want to use the large language models and you're feeling overwhelmed. So you give your space just of a moment. If you are the kind of person that let's say you like to procrastinate because you feel you can get it all done at the last minute and that works for you, be careful because that, becomes a habit that is not healthy. uh Learn to do things a little bit more in time, right? So when you are embarking in an exploration process, you also need to consider like your mental landscape and what is it that you're thinking about, and if that is all there is to it, right? Can you think in a different way? Can you take the opposing side, right? This is really good when you're working in your English classes and you have to make an argument. And I also want you to play, right? With these ideas, you're going to engage in a process where you're going to play a little bit so that you are iterating and remaining flexible so that you can pivot. If you find that something is not working, you have to change. Okay? Don't stay grounded. Oh my gosh, I'm going to do this because this is what I wanted to do. If you have to change, you have to move because sometimes you have to get done with projects and that's it because we have to pass and complete our course. So I prompt y'all to explore, okay? If you want to explore with AI, you can engage in a similar um, exercise as we did for brainstorming, but you can change the language so that you are open more to different ideas. The only thing is, and this is where I'm like not kind of like recommending the exploration phase. I think the exploration phase is more for you, right? Because exploring and brainstorming are not the same thing. And then in AI, the problem with exploring within AI is that you are circumscribed to a data set that is restrictive. And if you heard people talking about bias, there's inherent bias in the AI that we are not aware of. And what that means is that there's data in there that we don't know where it came from. So we don't know what type of perspective or lenses that data has that could permeate into what we're finding. For so I am not the one to tell you do not go explore with AI. I am the one to tell you go try and evaluate, because what is the most important thing, an essential skill that you need to have is how to evaluate information critically. And it doesn't matter where it comes from. It could come from a library database. It could come from me. It could come from, somebody that wants to hire you. It could come from an LLM. So I want you to be critical so that you're thinking about the information. And if you ask me, hey Alex, how is it that I could evaluate information? I use an ABCD approach. Is super simple. I'm always wondering, what is the author? What's their bias? Bias means what is the lens, the perspective that they have on an issue. Currency means how old is this information? Is this recent? Is it old? For some things, you may have to do historical research. For others, you need information that is very current. And also documentation. Where did the author gain that information? So for example, if you were to think, hypothetically speaking, that ChatGPT is an author, which I would say it is not, right? You could say, hey, where did ChatGPT get all these words? We don't know. It's a source that cannot be trusted. Okay? So when you are engaging with exploration, I want you to really consider exploration as a process that you're going to practice, right? And then be experimental with it. Because it's very important for you to be exposed to different things so that you can develop discernment and that you can say, this is what I'm going to use. Okay? So let's go back. Oh, and I have a question here. What other domains endings do you commonly use besides edu? Okay, so I use gov for government things related to the United States. I use edu, you already saw that. I also use org for organizations, right? You saw museums. And there's another one that I sometimes use, government, organizations, museums. Oh, MIL, if I'm not mistaken. We'll double check military, okay? Because sometimes I also, you're welcome, because sometimes I also use that. But here's, yeah, okay. So one thing, since there's a question about domains coming up, I'm gonna try to share something with you. Let me see if I can find a list. Okay, here we go. I'm going to drop a list on the chat for you. And of course, you can always come back to this chat to retrieve that list. Here we go. And let me share what this is. ICANN is the organization that manages domains across the planet, okay? So we don't buy domains like, you know, let's say dot daydreamer.com, that we don't do that. We rent them for a period of time. So they have a list of top level domains. I'm going to click on the list, and this is a list of all the domains that are available at the moment. Okay, so you can see a lot of different things in that list if you are curious. Do be mindful that some of those might not be ethical, so be careful, okay? Uh, but there are some domains that you cannot get access to, and if you want to know which one, it's that you cannot. It's .it. No, sorry, not .it. .ai. Now I have this is a quiz. Which country has the rights to operate the domain .ai? Let's see. Take a couple of minutes. See if you can find out which country. There's one country. It's close to us. Nope, it's not China. Not the USA. Or not Russia. This is interesting. See if you can find. Let me see. Ah, River. River got it. Anguilla in the Caribbean, a British overseas territories. Um, well done. It's Anguilla. Anguilla has the rights to the .ai domain. And the reason what I find out was because I was trying to buy, like, you know, get a domain, and I wanted it to be .ai, and then my transaction didn't go through because the government of Anguilla wouldn't allow it, right? So I thought that that's an interesting thing, right? They had a vision a long time ago to get the .ai domain for some reason, and they got it. Okay, so in our process, right, today we were talking about brainstorming, exploration too, and organization. Okay, I share the link to chat to the prompt that we had a little bit while back. And then give me a second, let me go back here. If you wanted to explore different different domains, and let me also make a note here. If you wanted to explore different domains, that is fine. If you've never had an opportunity of making a website, we're gonna have a session later this year about how to make a website for free. And in that session, when we cover that, we are not gonna be paying money, okay? So there's no need for you to pay for making, at least to start learning how to make a website, okay? So remember when I was telling you about exploring the last part, I really want you to consider, like, to explore with yourself and be very careful about where you conduct your exploration, okay? Uh, the LLMs, whichever one it is, take their results with a grain of salt, okay? Because you are the human in the loop, and that is a concept that I want you to always keep in your mind. Who is in the loop of this transaction? Who is responsible for the information that we're getting out of here, okay? So then, now we're moving into the last session, the last part of our approach, which is get organized, right? Um, and when it comes to organization, each and every one of you have your own ways of doing things. But if I'm gonna give you kind of like 4 steps, I would recommend that you consider that you need to collect something. It could be your thoughts, it could be information, right? It could be a lot of things. Then you're going to extract data, information, knowledge. You're going to have some materials that you're going to get out. In some cases, these are also going to be citations. And I have not talked, this is not an APA, MLA workshop, right? So, but I do need to acknowledge that, right? If you're using AI, remember to cite. If you're authorized by your professor, you need to cite. It's going to be either MLA style, Chicago style, or APA. So then we are in this process, we collect, we extract some information, and then we have to verify. One of the best ways to verify is by using library resources, databases, finding a book, finding print, finding an ebook. If you cannot find the origin of a source, we have problems with that source, okay? And then you're gonna have to compose, right? You're gonna have to put everything together in a way that makes sense for you, and that is in alignment with the requirements of the project that you have. Now, I'm talking about a project, but it could be a personal passion project. It could be a project for school. It could be whatever project you want it to be. It all depends on your approach, okay? So one thing that I found very useful recently, it's called Notebook LM. And before I keep going to this, I want to know on the chat, um, how many of you have used Notebook LM, or have you heard of it before? No? Okay. You heard about it recently. Okay. You have used it. Okay. Never heard of it. Alrighty. So Notebook LM is a tool that allows you to upload content, and I'm going to say that it's going to be for analysis. And you can interact with the content in a different way, okay? And there's some outputs that you can get, all right? So I'm going to demonstrate how this looks. And for this example, I'm going to do 2 things. One is that I'm going to work with a paper that I wrote a long time ago, okay? So I'm going to use one of my own papers and 2 sources. And then I'm also going to use a book to see what happens. You need to have, well, you should probably, if I'm not, have not said this yet, please make an account when you have a moment in the future. If you're testing different products online, make an account that is only for testing. Don't make your main account, the one that you have tied in with your phone, the account that you tie into all these platforms, okay? Keep your phones secure. Don't mix them with any type of weird testing that we're doing online with products, okay? Uh, so that you preserve your privacy and your data. That is very important at this time. So I'm coming back to my screen. Our little friend saying bye-bye. And now this is how the landing page for Notebook LM looks. And now I am in Notebook LM. So in Notebook LM, you're gonna create different notebooks, okay? So I'm gonna make one right here. And the way you do it, I'm not doing the discover sources yet. I'm going to work with the sources that I have. So me here, give me desktop. I'm going to upload. A long time ago, I wrote a paper about income security, and I have 2 articles that I got from library databases. So now I am uploading that into the system. And on the left side, I have the sources, and here I can do different transactions, right? Now I'm asking for a summary in 50 words for each. So basically, I can set 3 bullet points, right? And the system is thinking, let's call it that, performing its computational activities. So then the first one, it's an example from my paper. And then the second one is from an article. And then the last one from the third. Now notice that if I go here, it is giving me specific information about where in the source that is. Okay. Same for the second one. Okay, did that make sense? I use that system to upload pieces of information and then ask for something. Now, you notice that I uploaded a paper that I wrote, right? If you are not aware of this, you cannot use your own work if you don't cite yourself. If you, let's say in the future, you publish or you submit something for class, usually you should not do a paper for class and submit it to another course. One paper per class, right? Don't take your paper anywhere else. But in some cases, it might be that you write something that you really want to use in the future, or let's say you publish an article. If you publish an article and then you want to use just the article that you publish for another one, you have to cite yourself. Okay, that is very important. So citing yourself is something that happens in the literature. Okay, now I'm going to go back and we are going to see here, we're going to prompt for another question. So now I'm prompting the LLM to say, hey, are there some differences in these ideas that are presented there? There you go. So it gives you different outputs. And on the right side, notice that it can give you an audio overview, a video overview. It can create a mind map. It can also make flashcards, reports. Like I'm going to make the study guide. And a quiz. So I personally use this for studying too, when I want to learn something. So it takes a moment to generate. It is game changing. It is game changing. Okay. I did not upload a book, but I can upload a book. I have another colleague that he works a lot, and you have to be careful because there's a little bit of a gray area here in in regards to kind of like what can we do with it or not. So if you've never used Notebook LM, I highly recommend you try it, specifically when you're trying to learn something on your own. Remember when we started, like, how is it that I learn by myself? And how is it that the AI can assist me? So you saw some examples from ChatGPT. We also talk about ways of thinking about what we do and how we are a source of knowledge and how the world interacts. And now I also show you kind of like, oh, look, this is what you can do with Google Advanced Search. It's not AI, but you should know about that because there's a lot of things you can do in Google Advanced Search. And then now also you have a different tool called Notebook LM that allows you to create outputs to sustain your learning, not to replace it. Okay, so I think our outputs are ready. Let me see if I can show you here real quick. So this is my study guide. It includes a quiz with short answers and questions and the answer key, okay? Glossaries, terms that I need to know, essential things, right? In my studio now at the bottom, I also have the flashcards. If I wanted to, quiz myself about something, I would definitely use this. I need to because I'm taking a class. Oh my goodness. I had to study so hard, just like you guys. And then here is the mind map that it created related on the topic about, definitions, context. And then if I click, it's going to give me other topics that I could explore. Okay. So this is now, I would say probably if you start using this, it's kind of like next level. Can't say it in another way because the process is completely different. I never seen a tool like this before because what you can do with that particular tool is upload things that you want to learn about, right? And then create your own study guides and process information with that. Always remember to cite your sources. Come back to the library, check with me. We have librarians in the systems that will be very helpful for you and happy to help in your projects. You can also go to the tutoring, right? Our academic success centers. If you want to interact with a human, right? To talk and brainstorm and explore and develop ideas. You have a lot of resources at HCC. And you also have HCC Upswing. Alexandra.almestica@accs.edu. That's my email. Get in touch, send me questions, okay? I assist in all academic areas. If I don't know everything, okay? But I'm pretty good at finding information or finding you somebody that knows that you can get help. You guys did great. I love your feedback and the way that you interacted and shared your thoughts about the topic. And I hope this was helpful. If there's any way that I can help you, reach out. If you have friends that you think will benefit from working with the libraries, which should be all of them, tell them to go to the library and ask questions, okay?
Thank you, everybody, for coming, and we hope to see you at our next event.